Yo, yo, GM. What's good, everybody? Get this underway in a moment. Pull up the BTC chart and turn the music down for some background vibes on this Sunday evening. Take a look in the chat. Zero Koku, yo, what's good, man? What's good, my dude? Good to see you again. Becoming a regular face during these streams. Augustus Cypher says, yo. Welcome. See you interacting on the timeline a little bit. Happy to have you here during this live session. What we got here, we got the BTC weekly chart. We'll dig into that in a little bit. Gonna let a few more people trickle in, make sure I get my posts sent out. And then we can get this underway. Just bear with me a moment and vibe. GM says Chaz157. GM Chaz, how are you, my dude? Welcome. Well, let's get through our outline for today's session. I want to welcome you all to Rapture Scalp and Swing Sessions number 20. The weekly close show. We've had another weekly close. Number 20. Wow. Just flying by. Just blazing through these live sessions. Number 20. Feels like a milestone. Been keeping these fairly consistent, doing 2 to 3 streams a week. 20 feels like a good round number milestone. And what do we do on these weekly close shows? Well, we take a look at our high time frame levels. We take a look at our monthly, weekly, especially since we just had the weekly close. Daily H12 and H4 levels map out our high time frame levels of interest so that we can be prepared for the days and week ahead. We also talk about strategy, about what sort of setups I'd be looking for at different levels. We'll take a look at BTC, ETH, Sol, take a look at hype. We'll also look over our weekly macro dashboard so that we can gauge where we should be maintaining our focus for the week ahead. And we'll also take a look and see what assets put in high time frame SFPs. If we had any weekly SFPs using my high time frame swing screener pro to zero in on which assets put in weekly SFPs. And don't forget, if you're looking for a new exchange platform, consider using BingX. Shout out to the people over at BingX, sponsors of Team Ferrari in Formula One. I don't know if you guys watch F1, but we had the season opener. I guess it was today, Sunday, but it was like super early in the morning. The 2026 F1 season has kicked off. So shout out to the good folks over at BingX, sponsors of the Ferrari Formula One team. Don't forget to use code Rapture on sign up to get yourself some of those deposit bonuses. Hey, Moonar, GM, buddy. How are you? Good to see you in the chat. Okay. Well, we've gone through the outline. Let's just dig right in. I want to try and keep this to, I'm going to say an hour, but realistically, with everything we go through during these weekly close shows, it's usually closer to an hour and a half. Let's dive right in. Okay, let's see. What do we have here on BTC? Well, nothing's changed on monthly, except that we've come and underside tagged that monthly level, given a pretty clean rejection off of it. We're still trading in between these two high time frame levels. Like I said, we took out that level there this week. I'm still You know, when we're mid range, could go either way. We took out the top and we're trading back with him. I still want to see us come down to here, but we don't know yet. Weekly. Oof, that's a gnarly weekly wick. And you can see how we took out that monthly level on that weekly push up. Also took out the weekly range quarters. Weekly range quarters of both the weekly bearish range, the structure defining bearish range, and the inside week. And we continue to trade inside week. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is now our fifth week trading inside of this. A lot of similarities between what took place here. Someone asked me, they said, ooh, is that looking like a gnarly SFP on the weekly? Well, it's not quite an SFP. Well, not quite. It's not an SFP. It is a sweep of the monthly level, but an SFP, meaning like what took place here, we have not had. But a sweep of a high time frame level, like a monthly level, I treat very similarly. But no levels to update on weekly. Go down to daily. I mean, it was looking promising. We had that what looked like a breakout, printed a higher high. Not a range defining higher high, but we had been chopping within this range and then we broke above it. But then a clear deviation back within, right? No other levels to update here on daily. I will say this looks irrelevant. We can get rid of this because it sliced through it on the way up, sliced through it on the way down, and gave no interaction of note. So we just get rid of that. What we can do now, though, is okay. We do have a daily level here, right? We just want to start mapping out levels that may be relevant in the future. We're going to dig in here in a little bit because given we had that sweep of that monthly level, there may be a bearish breaker in there that we should be aware of. I don't know yet. We'll have to dig in. I stepped away from the charts for most of the weekend. In fact, most of last week, I mentioned I've been working on a project, and it's been demanding a lot of my time. Hoping to get back to full focus very soon. This is what I love doing. I love trading. I love being in the market, and my focus is divided. I don't like to half-ass it, so I haven't traded as much, or didn't trade as much last week. Any other daily levels we can see? No. This one still looks like it was relevant, so maybe if we get a push back up, see some sort of reaction there. Would I say that this one was relevant? Ugh. Sliced up, sliced back down. I think we can get rid of this. I'm being honest. Yeah, there we go. We cleaned it up a bit, right? Some few less levels, make it a little less muddy on daily. Now we can go down to H12. Okay, so I was talking about, do we have a high time frame breaker here after that sweep of that monthly level? And you can see how clean the rejection afterwards was, right? Closed above, deviated the level, closed back below, retest, shaboom. Shaboom. So something that I can't see. Something that I can't see. Right here. This swing low that created that sweep of the monthly level. This is now a bearish H12 breaker. That's a big ass box though, right? Like, what are we supposed to do with that? Yeah, I know, right? It's ginormous. So we're going to refine that a little bit. But when we close below there, that H12 swing low, we created this breaker area. One thing that I can see is we have an H12 swing high right here. So what might I be looking for here is come up into here, put in some sort of SFP at this level, probably a pretty clean short, right? I think one thing we're gonna have to do, let's extend our levels over because we're starting to crowd ourselves. All right, so there's some levels that may be of importance. I mean, realistically, if we take this one out, we're probably taking out this one. but that's what I see for now. On H12, let's go to H4. Okay, H4 is getting a little bit cloudy here. I'm gonna have to clean some of this up. Gonna have to clean some of this up. This sliced right through, we can get rid of that. You can see though on H4 how that level led to that recent sell-off, right? And that's okay. I was just talking about the H12 breaker. Well, here's the H4 breaker, and that's actually where we were rejected from, right? This is the H4 version of the H12 breaker. Well, closed below, retested into it, swept the level, swept. Pretty clean price action, to be honest. Man, I got to get my focus back. All this project's taking a lot of my time and attention and focus. I need to get my butt back into locked in and dialed on these charts, because we can see how clean that was. Right? Do you guys understand? This was the sweep of that monthly high time frame level, right? Like we can zoom out again, back to monthly. All right, this level here, this level right here, that 71,363 level. All right, what we swept on the weekly here, it's that 71,363 level right there. Well, what I just outlined, this is that sweep of that level, and then we closed below on H4 right here, retested, swept a level, swept, boom. Let me change this music up real quick because it has been driving on for a little while. There we go. You can see bulls were attempting to put in a stand here, but ultimately they lost. Now what I'm doing is I'm just taking a look to see if there's some levels in here that we want to keep to monitor for SFPs to take a next short. Right? But given that we have the H12 breaker outlined, I don't know that we need also the H4 breaker because we have the levels in there. Let's just extend that one across. We already know that one's important. This one was also important. Oops. Will this one become important? I don't know. I mean, it played a lot of, it's just from here, I'd rather short from a little bit higher. Will this become relevant? I mean, possibly if we come all the way up there, but then we've recaptured that. I think we can get rid of that. I think if it does bounce all the way up there, it probably rejects from here. But we're looking at any of these levels for potential interactions. I know it's a lot of levels going on, a lot of levels. But I don't make the rules. I just like to mark them so that I'm prepared. But that does require me to be dialed the fuck in and just focused on trading. I promise y'all, I'm going to have my focus back imminently. Okay, that's our BTC levels. I will share this chart in my Telegram channel, Rapture's trade book, which you can find the link to in the description for this video if you're joining from YouTube, or from my bio on Twitter. You can find the link there to Rapture's trade book, where I share charts and thoughts more frequently, sort of in between these live sessions where I put out the updates. It's a free channel, so go make sure you subscribe to that channel so you can get those updates and stay up to date with everything we're doing. Okay, so that's BTC. Where I was going with that was I will share this chart in my Telegram after the session. Okay, let's take a look at ETH. Do the same thing. Let's go to monthly. Yeah, we're still trading middle of here. I still want it to. I mean, this wick is not looking great. Mind you, we're still in the early stages of March. See on weekly. Yeah, took out that monthly level as well on ETH. Nothing else to change on weekly. We haven't really had to change weekly in weeks now. 5-6 weeks. Okay, here we are on daily. Let's see what we got. Similar, took out and swept that monthly level. Also took out a weekly level. Probably get rid of, well, I can put this up into here. But if it touches that, it just ran just shy of that MSB level. I mean, if it comes there, it's going to take that out. Nothing else to update on daily. Let's take a look at H12. So this is a lot going on here. This is a lot. I'm going to have to clean this up. Okay, these have got to be H4 levels. Yeah, let's go and see. This, that, oh. Those are going to be H4 levels. Yeah. Just like these are going to be H4 levels. Oh. So let's see H12 here. So we put in an H12 SFP there. Was it a daily SFP? No, just H12. So that's interesting. ETH put in an H12 SFP here. So we're going to look to see if there's a bullish break or somewhere in there. But this monthly sweep. Now on BTC, we lost this level. That is something notable. On BTC, we closed below the equivalent of this level, H12. ETH managed to hold it. Let's go down to H4. Okay, so this is that bearish breaker on ETH. And we close below here. Now this is getting jumbly. I agree. It's a lot of levels here. What can we get rid of here? Since we came all the way down and took out this lower one, I think we can get rid of this now. Although it's where it's finding support, right? It's tough. It's a tough one. It is a tough one. It's like the fine line between too many levels. And this is borderline too many levels. Well, I think this one becomes less relevant. Since we traded through it twice there. I mean, it's where it is finding its cap in price right now, but sorry, lads, I'm just thinking this through. If I zoom out of here, zoom out of here. Yeah, I do think I can get rid of that one. Any other levels here on ETH? No, I think that looks like about it. Maybe it comes and takes out that or that. Okay, let's take a look at Solana. And I mean, look at this open on SPX futures. massive red dong on the open. That's interesting. Okay. And same picture we're seeing. Same picture we're seeing on Sol, right? In between, sort of middle of, between the monthly, couple of monthly levels, mid-range-ish. Not the optimal place to be looking to take a trade. Same thing, nothing on weekly to update. Took out a weekly range quarter again last week. Still holding that weekly SFP from over here. Clean, much cleaner daily SFP on Solana over here for that short. But now we're down into that bullish daily breaker that has kept holding. It's interesting. It closed below that level. I'm rejecting from here. I can do this. Yeah, look at that. Is that a daily level? That is a daily level, but given each 12 interacted with it like that, I think we just get rid of that. Get rid of that. There we go. We've cleaned up a few. Now, did that hold as an SFP? No, that closed below as well, right? Yeah. Okay. We're gonna get rid of that. See what we've got on H4. Excuse me. Interesting. Okay. That closed below, but we did get this. Let's clean some of this up. Do I even keep that level? I don't know. I mean, it's worth rejecting from. I think we can do this, though. Clean that up a little bit. Okay, gotta get rid of that. Let's see what's going on down here. I mean, if you're looking for a long, it's not confirmed at all yet. You'd be looking for an H1 close above there to confirm this breaker. It is not confirmed at all, though. You can see how many SFPs have been taking place on Solana on low time frame on H1 here. Let's go back and take a look at BTC. Nothing to look at there. All right, what was I just doing? This is Remember I said there was an H12 SFP on ETH here? So if we're looking for what a long would look like, it would be flipping this with a close above on the hourly. Close above here on H1. There's your H1 bullish breaker. You long a retest, but ultimately you're looking for shorts off of any number of these. I don't ever diminish or discredit an H12 SFP though. It's been a lot of choppy, indecisive price action, which is giving us so many high time frame levels to mark out, which I don't love having this many levels. It becomes a little bit muddy and less clear. I guess that's just the state of where we're at in the market right now, though. And I don't get to pick and choose what the market gives us. I just mark the levels as I see them and wait to see if I get an interaction that I like, right? Like this could be something. Well, it confirmed on M15. Is M15 good enough right now to take a long? Oops. What just happened? Okay. Apologies about that, lads. Hopefully I didn't cut out myself. Don't think I've ever seen that on TradingView before. Okay, well, like I said, across BTC, ETH, and Sol, what is going on here? What is going on here? Okay, let's save this. Let's reload. Just give me 1 second, guys. I just want to make sure something isn't fucking up. There we go. Okay. This is gnarly on SPX. That's gnarly. Right? And as I outlined, did I share this in the Telegram? Well, this was our weekly range low that we were watching, and it closed below. Yes, it did put in the SFP there. I think I actually spoke about this during the last live session. I was like, well, this is the level we're watching right here. This swing low on weekly. SFP did a bunch. Yes, we put an SFP there, but look at now, after the close below. This is a high time frame signal to institutional capital flows that structure broke. And this is, well, let's see where. That's where I'd be looking next. Anyways, we're not focused on that right now. What I was pointing out was, actually, hold on. Let's get back over here on Solana. So you had your daily SFP. You had your bearish H4 breaker off the daily SFP. You even had the H1. I traded this a bit last week when you got that close below there. What is more important right now? Let's just take a moment here, because this bullish daily breaker was confirmed from this daily SFP with the close above, confirming that breaker. We have not violated the bottom of that breaker. Daily breaker probably trumps H4 breaker, but we did put in a daily SFP there. And now we have a confirmed bearish H4 breaker right here. closed below, retested, boom. I mean, I think just from the simple fact that BTC put in a bearish H12 breaker, ETH also has a confirmed bearish H4 breaker, I'm less interested in this bullish 8 daily. I think we just nuke this. Let's nuke that. There's our bearish H4 breaker. What's happening on H12 here? So we've also confirmed now. Okay, let's back this up a moment because let's back this up a second. Here's your daily SFP. We printed an H12 lower low. So this is a bearish H12 breaker. Let's do the same thing we did for BTC. Let's extend our lines over. Let's clean this up a bit. So just like on BTC, how we put in an H12 bearish breaker, Solana has also put in an H12 bearish breaker. The only one that held was ETH. That SFP'd an H12 low right over here. It held the low. It's looking a bit weak now though. BTC closed below, and look at where we're rejecting off. But I can still see it push up further. Well, here it is on Sol. So given that we've had a daily SFP H12 bearish breaker, the bullish daily breaker that was here, I'm done with that now because we had a nice run up. I don't think it's, I don't think the low of that holds again. It at least violates it again. It at least violates that low with an SFP. On H4 now. Okay, so we can get rid of this, but we put this back over here. Okay, there we go. Okay, took me a moment there, but I need to be precise. I need to see what's going on. You don't want to rush these things. You want to be ready and your levels to be accurate. I think this is probably the prime. If this level gets swept and on low time frame, you start putting in market structure breaks like M5, M15s, probably a pretty solid short off that level. Right, that level, or up here again, maybe it SFPs this, right? But up into there, since we did put in this H4 SFP here, like, could we take a low time frame scalp long here? Sure, you could. And maybe it's going to give it to you here, right? But I think I'd be more interested in waiting for whatever this move looks like to give me a low time frame setup somewhere here. Because I think that's going to be a better short than anything that a long is going to give you from here. Any questions in the chat, lads, by the way? I mean, this is your long setup right now. This is what you're saying is your long is you've put in this H4 SFP. This is the SFP right here. This is it taking place on M15. This is the swing high that created that H4 SFP. The wick of that SFP closed above, confirming this as a breaker. Look at that. We're getting an M15 SFP within that bullish breaker. But this long, like even if you get something closer down to here, We're down into here, but I mean, price is here right now, so let's just adjust it from there. I mean, to the levels we're eyeing, you don't even get a 1.5, right? For the 2R, yeah, it's, you know, it's quite plausible. You can get it maybe even a little bit more depending on the bounce. The thing that concerns me right now is what the fuck is going on here on SPX. You know, it probably fills that gap. Oh, that's interesting. The breaker on SPX, the M15 breaker from our last session, it flipped, closed below. That's exactly where it rejected off of. Look at that. Similar thing on ETH, right? Like this is your long right here. M15, bullish breaker, off of the H12 SFP, closed above, retesting inside, giving you an SFP inside there. Maybe it pushes down more and gives you another trigger, but this is the type of thing that you look for. Again, though, I think the shorts are more compelling than trying to grab these longs here. I mean, yeah, we've been battered. Right, like it's been a red weekend. I see more of a case to long ETH or SOL than I do BTC right here, just for the very simple fact that we didn't get an SFP off of a high time frame level, right? Maybe you can all see the difference, right? BTC did not tag any of those. ETH did. SOL took out an H4, right? Yeah. This isn't overly promising though. This little bit of price action here doesn't instill much confidence for a long. But like I said, like I do like to say, try not to have too much of a bias. Just let the high time frame levels do the talking for you. Well, that is an SFP. An SFP is an SFP. There's your SFP on an M15. You confirmed a bullish breaker, right? It's just you're right into supply. Sometimes you just got to ask yourself, like, where's the meat of the move going to come from? And is the trade worth the potential gain versus it rejecting here and just continuing to nuke? Like, where does the better trade come from? And I think the better trade comes from, even if it means missing a long here to catch a short somewhere here, doesn't mean you can't take this trade. Like, this is a setup. This is an H4 SFP on M15 with the bullish breaker confirmed with the close above. And an M15 SFP taking place within that breaker. Same thing on ETH, right? H12 SFP, M15 bullish breaker confirmed, SFP within the breaker, right? So there are setups there. I'm just not that personally excited about them. Okay, well, those are our high time frame levels, right? We got your BTC, we got your ETH, we got your Solana, and we got, oh, we didn't do SPS. Let's just take a look. So, I mean, I think that's really the only level of importance right there on SPX, right? There's nothing here. I think it looks like it's taken out this level, but then that's a very clear change to the structure of this, right? Shift some of these. Let's go back to daily, actually. If this doesn't recover some of this ground overnight, like TradFi markets are going to open and shit themselves. Like, what is I don't think this is the right one, and it's not open. Yeah. Oh, this is so old. It has my old box color. Okay. Well, not looking too hot there, lads. Not looking too hot there on SPX. Looks like a very clear next place to. But if you get a juicy fucking SFP there, daily, weekly. Trouble with monthly is monthly support's all the way down here. Yeah. Monthly support on SPX is all the way down here. But I think if you get a weekly SFP there, or it takes out the weekly level and you start getting low time frame PA into there, like an H4 breaker, I don't think you really touch this here. Okay. Well, those are high time frame levels. Yeah, you can see the breakers starting to act as breakers too. Right? Rejecting off that breaker. Rejecting off that breaker, which doesn't mean that we can't push up deeper into them. Right? It does not mean that we can't push deeper up into them. Okay. Adjust my ETH levels as well, because they're sort of shallow. Come on, there we go. I'm big on things being balanced. Let's call it a mental illness. It's a little bit of a mental illness. The OCD in me. You can see that I'm lining them up with where they line up in BTC and Sol. It's the OCD in me, just a little bit crazy. A little bit crazy. Rap, you fucking insane. Rap, you fucking insane. I know, dog. I know, dog. That's just how my brain works, though. I like balance. There we go. It's just how my brain works, boys. It's how my brain works, lads. I like balance. Chaz157 says, hey, Rap, could you go through which indicators you use? Well, we're not looking at any indicators here at the moment. Are you talking about on my intraday setup? I don't really want to get into that right now, though, because this is a macro and weekly session. So the weekly show is geared towards high time frame stuff, and I don't really want to dig into the indicators right now, because that takes up a bunch of time on its own, and we still have a bunch of stuff to get through today. I've gone through that in the past, but you know what? The next daily show, like the next lunch levels or the New York Open show that I run, I'll run an early show in the next day or two, and we'll do it then. It's just because it takes up a lot more time, and I don't want to rush through it and you not get everything you need out of it. So I think I'll reserve that, but remind me. I likely won't forget. I'm pretty good about remembering stuff like that, but remind me that to walk through the indicators, and we can do that no problem. It's going to take up more time than I think I want to devote to right now. Okay, so there's our high time frame levels on BTC, ETH, SOL, SPX. I mean, it's not looking great here. I would love another push up to short off of one of these levels. Love another push up to short off one of these levels. But we have confirmed H12 and H4 bearish breakers across the big three. And SPX just looking terrible. Okay, let's get back over here. Okay, so we've done our high time frame levels strategy. You guys know what that is. We're just looking for the interactions on low time frame into our high time frame levels and looking for those market structure breaks. Give me a breaker. Give me an M15 breaker. Give me an M5 breaker. Depending on time of day too, right? Like, and the amount of volatility in the market, you'd be looking for different time frame market structure breaks. You know, on a slower, lower volatility weekend, you can probably get away with a much lower time frame breaker to confirm the trade or to confirm your setup. Whereas when it's higher volatility, you probably want to be going a little bit higher time frame, because all it takes is a little surge of volume and you just blow through the breaker. Even if the setup is close or there, it's going to be off at that level. A lot of the times it's going to retest that, and if you're using a hard stop, it might stop you out. So I do notice that on lower volatility days, like on the weekend or later in the day, like after the New York markets have closed, then you can get away with the lower time frame breakers. But during the day, during weekdays, during higher volatility environments, you want to be waiting for a little bit higher time frame market structure break. That's just been my observation. We looked at BTC ETH, SOL. We haven't looked at hype yet. We'll do that. We're going to look at the weekly macro dashboard, and we're going to take a look and see if there's been any weekly SFPs of note. Let's pop back over here. Let's take a look at hype. I haven't looked at it in a little bit. Let's see what it's doing. Just chop city on weekly, right? Like, we got that pattern we were looking for, the weekly into the weekly bullish breaker, but now it's rejecting, and pretty clearly off that weekly range quarter level, right? We're inside week of this week, took out the high. That's where the range quarters are coming from. I don't know. I don't love the way that looks, especially since we're still within this weekly. Oh, damn it. There we go. Caught myself early enough, though, that I didn't have to go back and share too much. So here we are. We got hype, right? We're looking at hype now. So hype weekly, this is what we were looking for. Way back up here, we were looking for this. We got that, but now getting capped by that weekly range quarter off of this inside week's range quarters, right? We made that fat weekly candle. Next candle traded within that candle, right? It traded above, but goes back within, inside, 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 inside. Now we're inside again, and we're capping at that weekly range quarter within this weekly supply. Bullish weekly breaker, bearish weekly supply. I know that's faint back there, but you can see when I hover that that's there. So that's weekly. Go to daily. Daily bullish market structure occurred, right? It was bearish structure when it closed below here. Then it recaptured market structure. So here is our defined daily hype range. Swing low to swing high in a bullish market structure. Higher high right there. Here's the market structure break level when it closed above there. I'm asking myself whether this level is relevant. I don't think it is. Get rid of that. There's your daily range. Kind of rocking a hard place. Bearish weekly supply, bullish weekly breaker demand, daily demand, bullish demand here, order block style demand. Coming down to H12, something I can see right off the bat. So this was looking promising, right? You put in H12 SFP, SFP'd, SFP'd. But now what I see is this. It's kind of a rock and a hard place here, right? Like, look, that trade that we looked for took place. These were the after last session, or 2 sessions ago even. I don't think I looked at hype last session. So 2 sessions ago, I was like, it's either going to be somewhere here or somewhere here. Well, we got that, right? If we just move this over here, right? That was that. Well, maybe now we're going to get down here, especially with this up here. So let's get rid of this. This here is an H12 SFP in the works. Let's see if we, I think if you confirm this on H1 with a close below here, if H1 closes below there, you got a good short. M15 already did it. It's right there. There's your M15 bearish breaker off of the H12 SFP that's underway. Only caveat is that H12 candle has 9.5 hours to go, right? Which is why I would say you probably want the H1 more than the M15. Right? This was the M15 swing low that created that H12 SFP. Closed below immediately on the next 3 candles and then rejected. Since you're already trading down here and the M15 already had rejections off of it, I think you just say to yourself, give me that H1, close below there. Yes, we're going to be back down into this bullish demand. It's a difficult spot to be in, to be honest with you, but just given what we're seeing here, this isn't bullish price action. Okay, let's come back here. This isn't bullish chop. This is indecisiveness, right? Just like this wasn't bullish chop, or just like this wasn't bullish chop, or just like this wasn't bullish chop. But flip side, like this wasn't bearish chop. Oh, it was actually. It looks to, you get a lot more chop before the dumps than you do for the longs on hype. Like we can just see that, right? Chop, 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 nuke. Chop, 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 nuke. And the reversals for longs are like are a lot cleaner. And then when it's the indecisive chop, that's when you get the nuke. All right, indecisive chop, nuke. Longer wicks for the longs off of high time frame levels, a lot more indecisive chop for the before it nukes, which is, it kind of makes sense, right? Like the whole market is like, hype is our white knight savior of the market right now, right? Like everyone is bullish hype and have been for most of the cycle, and it's a great product. It's, nothing against Hyperliquid at all. It's a great product. It's a great platform, and deserves to be a solid asset, solid performing asset in the crypto markets, because most other shit is just garbage bullshit that doesn't need to be in existence. But what that gives you is solid long responses off of a high time frame level, and then a lot of chop as people, either the people that bought start distributing, or you're getting a lot of churn from a lot of people who bought this and bought on the way down, and you get everyone piling in when they see that green candle going, oh shit, everyone, let's buy hype, let's all be long hype because it's the only asset worth anything right now that's doing anything. And then you just get into these traps. And it's just very distributive, right? Very clean longs off of high time frame levels, right? Like, don't be the people buying here. Mark your high time frame levels, long those, and be the people distributing, right? Like, you can just see the difference, right? Like, we got this Pico bottom here. Well, not the Pico bottom here, but this was the long here. Actually, it might have been here. Way the fuck over here. Yeah. It was here. We were trading somewhere in here. And I told you guys this was the long. Take those trades. Don't be buying this chop shit. I mean, you can just see a very clear difference. Tags a high time frame level, then the upward price action gets expansive. Tags the high time frame level, expansive, and then it's chop, 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 chop. Tag a high time frame level, expansive move, chop, 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 chop. I don't like this. I don't like this H12 SFP underway here. I do not like that, but I would wait for this H1 breaker to confirm, right? It's still, people are still trying to long this thing. I'm just trying to take a look where the H4 breaker would be confirmed. It's here. If you get an H4 close below there, off of that H12 SFP. Now, what would a long look like? Because you did get that SFP there. So let's see what the long was here. You're actually still into it. No, it's right there, actually. There it is. No, hold on one second. This is the swing low right here. The swing high's up there. So this was the H1 bullish breaker. Right, we're trading within it right now. This is not bullish price action. This is just chop city. The long signal, though, was that H1 SFP within the bullish breaker. So you just say to yourself, if you get an H1 SFP within the bullish breaker, just take that as a long. Or if it closes below here, confirms the bearish one, then switch your... That's what I would say, right? It's either you get something like an SFP here on H1, and then you take the long because you still do have the bullish breaker. Or if it closes below there on H1, you forget about longs, you get rid of that H1 bullish breaker, you use this H1 bearish breaker as a sign to go short off the H12 SFP. And that's hype. That's hype, lads. It's conflicting in here, but that's just, it's, you know, you can see the chop. You can see this. It's not very clean right now. That's, you know, the SFPs are clean. Anytime you've gotten an SFP, that being said, about this short, if you get something that comes down into here and looks like this and takes out down here, there's your next long, right? Okay. So that was hype. Let's come back over here. Let's take a look at the weekly macro dashboard. We got BTCD, total ES, total crypto market cap excluding stable coins divided by BTC, which is my barometer for alt health. USDT.D or Tether dominance. ETH BTC, Sol BTC, Sol ETH. Right off the bat, right? After last week's weekly close show, we had that SFP, and I said BTC is probably good to take the lead here. And look, follow through. Now, it's a nasty, gnarly weekly upper wick now that we're in this week, but BTC was clearly the play to focus on. And what I did notice that's interesting is this wick here on USDT, right? So people were entering the market, and when we closed here, I said I could see this pulling back. Check the receipts from last week, last weekly close show. I said I could see this pulling back and BTC being the play. I said it was either BTC or it was possibly some alts. But I said I wasn't sure which alts, and I said probably just hype. And it looks like hype did well. BTC held up well. I said Sol ETH between the two. It's a toss-up. It could go either way. I'm not interested. Sol BTC looked okay. But it didn't do anything. ETH BTC still looks like shit. So what I'm seeing now, BTCD, let's open this right up. I could see this continue to travel up again. Even though we had that wick and we swept that level, I could see this continue to push up again and maybe take out this level up here finally. Which would mean focus on BTC is what I see. Did it take out this low? It front ran it. I was watching for that level to get taken out. It front ran it last week. But the similar thing, I was just saying I could see BTC D continue to go up here, even though we had that wick. I'm seeing the same thing here. I could see this come back down and actually take that level out. Which would, to me, say I don't really want to look at alts. Oops. Oops. Right. It's an older. Older template. I made these. I could see this coming back down again. So I don't know. Yeah, you could get a push up in alts, but they're not very compelling to me here. What is interesting though is the very clear inverse correlation between BTCD and USDTD. And when we were up here after last week, I said, with this wick here, we probably roll over, and BTCD having the SFP off that level, it probably pushes up. Well, that's what happened. It did push up while Capital exited Tether, exited stable coins into the market, but then it popped right out. I could still see this rolling over though. Usually when you get like a wick like that, it's at least half backfills it like halfway, if not continues to trend down, right? It's just it's like a leading indicator that like, okay, market is starting to go that way. Same thing, market's starting to go that way. Do I use fair value gaps in my trade process? Sometimes. That's not a very useful answer, I know, but it's the truth. Sometimes. I'm less interested in marking out supply and demand these days. Like, yeah, you can see on here that I have them marked out on these charts, these gray boxes. Sorry, 1 second. I need to sneeze. Give me a second. Sorry, I'm back. Okay, that's 435. Let's fix this one. 435, so you can see it the same. Oh my God. And look, see how that supply is holding there. Let's switch that as well. 4. Okay, so do I use fair value gaps? I actually mark out supply and demand a lot less than I used to, at least in terms of like the BTC charts and stuff like that. What I do mark out is breakers. I used to mark out religiously, like order block style supply and demand, fair value gaps. I used to mark those out religiously. And I just kind of found that they were becoming noise for me. And what do I mean by that? So hold on, before I dive into that, because I'll have to go back to another chart, because I don't really think you're really looking at fair value gaps on macro charts like these. I mean, you could, but I just don't think that that's what you're asking about. So just so I can wrap up here before we get into that question about fair value gaps. This looks to me like BTCD wants to travel up. USDT stablecoin dominance wants to come down. Alts, I don't know. I'm not very compelled to want to trade alts in general. And right now, I don't know, I could see this trading down again and at least taking that level out. It front ran it, and I don't like that. Same thing for ETH BTC, waiting for that level to get taken out, although now we have a level up here. So maybe it's this that gets taken out, and then you can have a little bit more idea of, oops. It's kind of just trading middle of nowhere. Between Solana and Ethereum, no discernible edge between which would perform better. Looking at ETH BTC and Sol BTC, neither of them screams like I want to trade it. The one that's clearest to me right now is BTCD and USDTD. And maybe this. I mean, maybe alts want to trade up. Just not very interested in alts right now. Again, another murky weekly macro dashboard overview, and that's just indicative of what the market is right now, right? Little pockets here and there, that if you're in the right coin, you're in the right coin. But mostly, sorry, I'm just thinking for a second, like, it just kind of tells me that you have to take each chart in isolation, because there's no real edge to this right now to tell you where you should focus your efforts this week. Other than maybe it's BTC and capital rotating back out of stable coins into BTC. And then maybe one of these gives you a cleaner setup that you could say, okay, now I want to focus on ETH over BTC, or now I want to focus on Sol over BTC. No idea between Sol and ETH here. This is AIDS. This, like, let's dig this for a second. Let's go to monthly for a second. What do we got here? I mean, monthly looks pretty clear. It's rejected off of that monthly level. It's kind of stabilized here, but realistically, it's middle of the range on a, you know. Is that a weekly level? Yeah, that is a weekly level. Like if we just look at this in isolation, would I want to focus on alts right now? It's indecisive. And to be honest with you, I haven't looked at many alts in a while. Yeah, we just looked at hype, but I haven't really looked at many alts in a while. I can't imagine they're doing too great. But this is stable here. Still, to me, the cleanest chart right now is BTCD, even though it had that wick there. I think this trades up, right? Similar to, well, not this, even though we had that long wick and then it did trade up. I think this trades up, just like this wants to trade down. What that means for other alts, you know, maybe Sol BTC is good here. Maybe Sol is where you'd focus. I just don't see anything on ETH here. But then Sol ETH doesn't give me any clarity. This is just AIDS. This still doesn't really look great to me. Right, like, is this just a repeat of this before you get another down leg? Is this just another repeat of this before maybe you get a little push up into here and then another down leg? Is this doing this again before another down leg? I don't know. I'd need some sort of high time frame indication, and ETH BTC isn't giving me that. Sol ETH is maybe. On Sol BTC, sorry, maybe here. But even then, it's not. What is that? What is this even off of? What is this level from? Is that a monthly outline? No. You know, I'm kind of curious. What happens if I do that? That's interesting. Maybe right there. I may have to clean this chart up, and I don't want to do that right now. I may have to reevaluate this chart because that's kind of interesting there. Now all of a sudden we've got some interesting stuff happening here, right? That was that level there. It's holding there. I don't know. I'm still looking at this saying I would focus on BTC, maybe put some focus into Solana. Alts, not really. I think this is going to come down again. I think this trades back lower, down into here. I think this trades up into here again. And ideally takes out this level up here. Would be great. Right, while this comes down, takes out this level. That's what I see here. I've focused BTC, maybe focus Solana. I don't know what to say about ETH. It's given me nothing really. Alts, not really. So it's not too clear, but at least it's something, right? Like I would say BTC, maybe Sol. BTC, maybe Sol. It's not a great macro dashboard this week. Okay, getting back to Chaz's question about fair value gaps. Do I trade fair value gaps? I'm aware of them. And sometimes, yes, I do. Let's see if we can find one here. Okay. Like here's your fair value gap, and look at where it rejected from. Right? H12 fair value gap, traded into it. That's where it rejected from. Why don't I mark them out? I'm more interested in high time frame levels than zones. The only time I'm marking and boxing out stuff these days is for when I get a confirmed setup, because then I know the setup is there. That I know that I have a breaker that gets confirmed, right? Like this is an H12 bearish breaker. And that tells me that 2 steps out of the, let's go here. Where is it? Where is it? Where was that? There. This. When I have a confirmed breaker, that's 2 things for me. It gives me my high time frame signal was SFP, or in the BTC's case right now, a sweep of a monthly level. So that's the high time frame signal. Then the mid time frame setup is that breaker. That's the actual trade setup. And in this case, on BTC, it's an H12 breaker. So this can also be H12. Let me add it here. Let's expand this out because this can be a lot more than just that. Right? Now, you just have to imagine, not imagine, but you have to sort of pair them up. Like the lower the time frame of your high time frame signal, the lower the time frame of the mid time frame setup. So if it's a weekly SFP, then an H12 or a daily breaker is what you're looking for. Sometimes H4. If it's a daily, you're looking for H4 or H1. But the higher the time frame the breaker that confirms, the higher the quality of the signal, or the probability that that next trade aligning with your breaker is going to be. So when I have, and why I'm more inclined to outline breakers than fair value gaps and just basic supply and demand order block style, is because the majority of my trades are focused around getting that first high time frame signal. So the weekly, daily, H12, H4 SFP. That's what I wait for, like 90% of the time. Maybe even more. Maybe that's all I wait for. I pretty much only trade SFPs these days. So I wait for that high time frame signal, and then the medium or mid time frame setup is giving me the breaker. And then within that breaker, I'm looking for the low time frame signal, which is, you know, something like an H1 or even an H4 SFP within an H12 breaker or within an H4 breaker. All right, so I can expand this even. And then you can layer another layer on top, which is the low time frame signal of that. It's just giving you as much confluence and layered setup, right? It's the inception of trades. I've spoken about this before. I like to inception my shit. Well, here's an interesting thing. So you're asking me about fair value gaps. Well, there's your weekly fair value gap right there. Look at where it tagged into, right? I do trade them. I just don't really mark them out because what I'm looking for is actually the level, the horizontal level to get taken out. Does that make sense, Chaz? I'm not saying that they aren't a part of my process and that I don't trade them. It's more of a subconscious thing, though. Um, I'm not actively marking them out and seeking them as particular trades because I'm looking for the levels. I'm looking for horizontals. So yeah, I could mark out that breaker, or sorry, that fair value gap there. And and there was your trade into it. And yes, it front ran my weekly level there, but it took out my monthly level. Does that answer your question? Okay, good. So it's not so much in like, do I trade them? Are they incorporated in my process or not? I just know because I've been doing this for so long now that I prefer to not mark out order blocks and fair value gaps because they sort of, yes, I want to have bias for which way I think the chart's going to go, and I do that on high time frame like weekly, daily, H12. But because I trade mostly intraday, I have no problem taking a long, even if my bias is that we're going lower. Or I have no problem taking a short, even if my bias is we're going higher, because I'm just looking for those high time frame level interactions. Okay, well, we're getting a push up. I'd start watching these levels to see if you get a sweep or SFP of any of them, and then a low time frame breaker, market structure break. Nothing yet on BTC. Oh, oh, look at that. The M15 SFP into the M15 bullish breaker has held on ETH. Did it hold on SOL as well? It did. If you see them align with your breakers, I presume they add confluence to your trade. Yeah, I don't even really think about fair value gaps as much anymore. Because the confluence that I get is, do I get my high time frame level taken out? Do I get the lower time frame breaker confirmed? And then am I getting a signal within that breaker? Right? Like this is that right here. H4, SFP, M15 market structure break with the breaker confirmed, close above there, retested, gives you an SFP within the breaker, enter on the close. There you go. Or you could even, once this is happening, once you see M15 coming into here, you can inception again and just say, okay, what am I looking for here? I'm looking for the same thing. I'm looking for the low time frame breaker, right? I'm looking for what created that M15 SFP. This is the M1 swing high. This is that M15 SFP closed above, retested. Now here, I wouldn't be going inception for another level further. You could, if you get an M1 SFP in there, you'd be like, okay, well then it's fucking, you can't really get much more granular than that, but this is just enough as it is, right? You close above there, enter off the edge of that box. And that's like that, those 4 layers of inception that I was just showing here. When we were looking at this here, right? That's, right? It's just trade inception. It's the signal with the setup within the signal, and then the signal within the setup giving you the setup within the signal. Right? It's trade inception. Well, that's what just took place here, right? And I can walk you through what that was, right? So you got an H4 SFP. Within that H4 SFP, you got an M15 bullish breaker confirmed. You closed above. Then you got the SFP within the breaker. So there's your low time frame signal within the setup. And then you got the setup within the low time frame signal within the setup of the high time frame signal. That's just the inception level, right? And this is, because I'm intraday, low time frame, when you're taking a trade like that, you're just getting a much better outcome, right? Like that's a 4-to-1 already. You only had to hold that for 15 minutes, not even. I mean, it's gone beyond that even, right? But like, so do I look to layer things like a fair value gap on top of a breaker? It absolutely can give you extra confluence. I just don't really mark them out anymore. Like, I don't know. I go through phases. And I'm just, and in particular, the last 6 months where I really finalized or really put a lot of the refinement on this strategy that I use, it really just convalesced around high time frame levels, and that being all that I really look for. Right? I'm the SFP guy. I trade SFPs. And all that a fair value gap really is telling you, well, it's two things. It was an area that left an inefficiency. So two-way trade did not take place. It was very slippery through that area. So one side was dominant over the other and price just slipped through it. So it's an inefficiency. That when price returns there, you're expecting that inefficiency to get filled, right? Like if you're an order flow guy, like that's what a point of control or a gap is, right? Like on a TPO singles gap. It's just an area where price did not two-way trade for any meaningful amount of time, that it just slipped right through. How I would view them is it's just a target area, right? Like any area that I box out is just a target area. It's not, hey, this is a given trade. It's, hey, inside of your box, start looking for your trigger. I think if you view it that way, it might help you not just mark out a box and say, oh, this is the trade, I'm taking it. The reason why I've drilled down into this lower time frame stuff is I've got tired of excuse me, doing the H12 H1 and the H1 failing not time and time again, but it was failing a lot. And I was like, I would much rather not be sitting in drawdown like this. I would much rather not be having a win rate like this. I would much rather drill down, because I am at my desk and in the market and enjoy being in the market and being in front of charts, that I'm like, well, how can I figure what's the low time frame way of taking these trades? What are the things to look for? And that's how I designed this strategy and this system that I use. It was just to figure out the low time frame stuff that aligns with that H12 H1 sort of strategy, like the classic trader main H12 H1. I've just taken that a step further and put it into low time frame and what it is that I look for. That's why I like the inception trades. Or like maybe I should coin that, right? I should trademark that. Rapture's inception trades. But that's really all it is, right? H4 SFP, M15 market structure break, confirming the breaker, retest into the breaker, M15 SFP, M1 bullish breaker, right? And there's the result. I think there's just too much emphasis on a certain area, something having to happen. It's more about, this is where I'm looking for something to happen, and if that happens, then I'm going to take the trade, not just this box is my trade. If that makes sense. I think that makes sense. It makes sense for me, so hopefully it makes sense what I'm saying. And for taking profit after your setups follow through, have you any tips there or rules you follow? I mean, generally, if you're going from swing levels, right, you just look for what takes place at the next swing level. So I would be looking now as we're coming into this level here, if the same thing starts to happen, like if you come into this level and you start putting in a market structure break to the opposite direction, well, then your trade's done. But the basic way of doing it is just starting with 2 or 3 to 1 and just auto closing those trades until you get a better feel for how much direction, how much movement you get off of the trades. But it's a good starting place, because I can't tell you how often you'll get 2 or 3 to 1 and then it just reverses and then you end up at break even or getting stopped out, and that's just frustrating as fuck. For all the hard work you put in doing this, like, it's simple, but it is still a lot of work, being like, okay, there was my SFP, there was my setup, there was the next SFP, there's the other setup. Like, it takes dedication that when you've done all that, you don't want to just round trip your shit, right? And even if you only do 0.5% of your account risk on trades like this, rather than putting in 1 or 2% until you get more confident in it, even if you're only doing 0.5% and you're taking 3R and you're taking 2, 3, 4 of these types of trades per day, I mean, that's 2-3% account growth on your account that you can be fairly consistent with daily outside of low volatility environments. Like, now, you can target much higher. You just have to understand what you're looking for when you get into those levels, right? Like, say this goes from here all the way up to here. Well, you have to be monitoring what takes place at these levels. And if you start getting the inverse of what happened here, right? Like, if you get into like this level here, as we come up into here, and it takes out this level, and then it does something and it closes below. Like, if it does something like this, comes up, takes this out, closes below, retest, right? This is where you exit, because then you'd have the same thing right here. This would be your bearish breaker. You exit on that retest, right? Just like this is a bullish breaker, you'd be looking for the inverse. Do I get a bearish breaker? That's how to do it in a very fluid way. If you want to be more mechanical about it, just take your 2, 3R and then wait for the next trade. And who gives a fuck if it keeps going? Because we see how often these trades set up. Like, one of the beauty of when I designed this strategy was realizing how frequently these trades set up, that I just don't care if I miss a trade anymore or if I leave profit on the table. But it has to fit into your lifestyle, right? Like, I like to finish for the day and not think about the market and worry about my positions. And I like to show up and do my work and then go back to my life. So you have to figure that out for yourself. This is this part of trading that people sort of confuse, because it's like, What is someone else doing? How are they? Well, it has to fit into your life. It has to make sense for what your desired outcomes are, for what sort of time commitments you have, for what type of trades you want to be taking. Like these are questions and honest questions you have to ask yourself. You have to sit down, be upfront and totally honest with yourself about your personality, about your temperament, about your trading style, and just go through a checklist. Like for the longest time, I thought I was a high time frame only trader. And I was very focused on trying to get those high time frame swings. But over time, I realized that because I never imagined that I'd be trading the 1 minute chart at all. I thought that was insane. I was like, how the fuck could people do that? But I got to a point where I realized how much I dislike being in drawdown and how I dislike thinking about the market when I'm not at my desk and how much I dislike it controlling so many other aspects of my life and my mood, that I wanted a way to be in and out and to be consistent about it. Because say you take this trade and it starts trading down here, but you cut that before this breaker gets violated and you wait for the next setup. Maybe it's off of here, right? Like, and you're like with a manual stop out, you cut well before your full stop out and you can get a better position if it sets up, right? So if this type of trading, this time frame of trading speaks to you, I would suggest just being very mechanical with it at the beginning. Target 3R or even target 2R. Just keep it mechanical until you get a better feel for how each trade responds and understanding which levels do better than others. Well, lads, we did give you guys that long. Same here on ETH. Nothing took on BTC though. Well, now we're back up into a level here, right? Okay. That was a long rant and we're at an hour and 40. So we're going to do a quick checkup on see if there were any interesting weekly SFPs, and then we're going to wrap it up. Hopefully that was helpful, Chaz. And keep showing up to these and keep asking more questions. Your questions are great. Yeah. Yeah, I would just say make it mechanical, target a static amount so you get comfortable with it, and then start utilizing the counter signal. If you get a trade that's telling you that's going to be a short after you run a long, then get out of the long and either take the short or just get out of the long. Interesting. Soul H4 off of that level there. Not really compelled by that level. Looks like it's coming up. I mean, these decent moves up here. Okay, let me pull up. Let's take a look and see if we had any interesting weekly SFPs. And we'll take a look at, let's take a look at Hyperliquid first, see if there are any interesting weekly SFPs. World coin, virtual, everything below is too low of volume. Same 2 coins there. Tesla and Apple with weekly SFPs. Interesting. It's too low volume. Not interested in any of those. I didn't mean Tesla and Apple were too low volume. I just meant all of these. Let's take a look at early. Same coins. OKB put in a weekly. That doesn't seem real. What are these coins? A lot of weekly SFPs that were put in here on Bing X. These coins look horrible. What a BNB attestations. Wild one, but have you thought about building a bot for this strategy? Thanks for the rant, man. This live was very helpful to me. Yeah, no problem. We'll let you know how I get on in the next one. Awesome. Yeah, I mean, always happy to answer questions. I do actually enjoy people asking questions, so I have more stuff to chat about. Have I thought about building a bot for this strategy? It's doable. The thing that the bot won't have, though, is on low time frames, the discretion. The discretionary aspect, right? It's like knowing when to cut something early, even with having a hard stop. Because a big part of the way that I trade is just very minimal drawdown. Like I'll know if the trade is starting to look like it's going against me, but I'm not afraid to cut and then get back into that same trade if I get the next signal. Like that's something you have to become comfortable with, is cutting if you're not liking the way price action is looking, if it's giving you something that you're not expecting. But being very fluid and comfortable with getting back into the trade rather quickly if it starts giving you what you were looking for again. Okay, we've put coins onto the weekly. Let's come back over here. We'll come back over here and we'll take a look what's on this list. Some of these were from last session. So what we'll do is we'll open up the weekly, and we're going to wrap this up soon, lads. I know it's an hour and 45. I'm starting to be disrespectful of y'all's time. Let's just take a look and see what ended up happening over here. Well, this was the setup on ARB, the weekly SFP H12 bullish breaker. It's held from last weekly close. Same thing on Eigen, it looks like. Yeah, the weekly SFP held. And the H12, oh, it never confirmed. We were waiting for that confirmation. It never confirmed. But it's still here. ENA, let's see. Yeah, H12 bullish breaker confirmed. It's still holding, but it looks like the weekly closed below. Yeah, weekly closed below. Less interested in this one. Gal, let's see. Nope, closed below. So you lost that. Let's see. Oh yeah, now you see. There you can see the breaker did not hold, so we'll get rid of this. Lido, same thing. Closed below. Weekly lost the level. Get rid of that. Let's take a look. Oof! Oh my goodness. Lighter looks like you just lighten money on fire by being into this coin. Don't mean to brag, but I did sell my airdrop in this cluster over here. It's probably my best trade in a while, was selling up in there. Ugh, this looks awful. I saw Justin Sun removed like 200 million of liquidity out of the platform too, and prices tanked. Is what I saw on the timeline. Looks horrible. Stable was a weekly SFP too. All right, this was that one there. Did we get the follow through? Close below. Where were we? We were here. So last weekly session, I drew these two. I was like, well, either you're going to get a trigger off of here, or you're going to get the confirmed H12 breaker with a close below and a retest. You can't make this up. Close below retest. Boom. And I bet you somewhere in here, I bet you somewhere in there, you had the trigger. There it was. You know, it's funny. You said I should have a bot stay on top of this stuff. You know what I really need is an assistant to just fucking stay on top of these things. I forget after the fact. Like I forget to follow up on things. I need to build a better process of reminding myself to look in on these things. I think that's my blind spot right now. Because that was a clean H12 close below to confirm the weekly bearish breaker, retest into it, H1 SFP within the bearish breaker. Boom. Hilarious. Okay, well, keep moving along. What happened with this? Okay, so S is holding the weekly SFP. Bullish breaker, sweep at the level. H12 sweep. Where's H1? Yeah, you hold that. I mean, it's already moving away. Okay, let's take a look at virtual. See, so bearish weekly SFP still there. H12 confirmed. Here it is. So you never got a retest into it. Yet, at least. On virtual, with that bearish weekly SFP, you get some sort of PA into here that gives you the short. That's what I'd be looking for. What did this SFP? I don't know what this was signaling. Oh, this was an old one. So it still doesn't look awful. This actually looks pretty good. What was the trade? Oh, it was here. H12 SFP, flip it. Oh man, that's what I really need, is an assistant to stay on top of these things. Okay, let's take a look at WorldCoin, because this is one that that just added. What was the, okay. Weekly bearish SFP. H12 bearish breaker confirmed. You did have an H12 SFP there. Yeah, but you're looking for a short in here on World. Anyways, those were the weekly SFPs. There weren't many. It was WorldCoin virtual. Some of these were from last week, and there are some setups in there. If you want, you can screenshot that list and take a look to find some trades. Actually, yeah. I'll clean this list up tomorrow. I'm not going to do it tonight because I'm pretty tired. It's been a long couple of days. But I'll clean this list up and share in the chat tomorrow. So if you're wondering, like, you know, give you both trades off of that H12 SFP, confirm with an H1 close above here. There's your bullish breaker confirmed, right? But right now it's SFPing the high. It hasn't confirmed. Okay, lads. This has gone on longer than I intended today. circling in on 2 hours. Decent turnout for a Sunday at this time, though. It says I got 42 of you here. Appreciate you all. If anyone else has any questions, please fire it off quickly now before I wrap up. Fire it off now before I wrap up for the evening. Let's go back and see what is ETH saying on this H4 SFP. Okay. So you were asking, Chaz, like what would be the trigger for the opposite? Well, this has probably got no, it's too low time frame, but like there's your it was there, but you only got a retest off of here. I mean, it's convenient for me to like hindsight and be like, well, maybe it's here. You know, I'm not really into like, but I don't like moves like that where there's no swing low to give me a setup, because usually it's going to push up again then. This is looking a bit gnarly though. ETH, Sol, H4 SFP, BTC up into that level. That was the source of the breakdown. Okay, now that we're getting some stuff in here, maybe we'll wrap it up on this. Let's see what's going on here. See, I don't like this because this is what it is here. It's such a wide breaker. What I would wait for, I mean, you have the M1, but I would much prefer an M15 or M5. What I would wait for is more price action to occur here. Set a swing low somewhere here. So what that means would be an actual 3-candle pattern. So another, like say this closes here and then the next one closes up, you have a swing level there. Then I would set the bottom of the breaker off of that as the market structure shift style. Close below that and retest into there. There's your short. But in terms of a market structure break style, it's all the way down here, which I don't love. I don't love that. I don't like this sort of move as the breaker. Okay, lads. Well, it's been a late one. It's rapidly approaching 2 hours. And we're at 10:30 p.m. Once again, thank you for joining me on another Rapture Scalp and Swing Sessions number 20, the weekly close show. We looked at our high time frame levels on BTC ETH, Sol, and Hype. Talked about our strategy for the days and week ahead. We looked at the weekly macro dashboard, which was not that clear. Again, 2 weeks in a row with the dashboard not being that clear. Main takeaway that I got was BTC, maybe Sol. Not too sure about alts. ETH, not giving me anything. And USDT.D looks like capital wants to flow out of stable coins back into the market, back into assets. So if that's the case, for now, that would tell me BTC first. And we looked at some weekly SFPs. Wasn't much this week of note. Just WLD coin and what was the other one? And virtual. There were some weekly SFPs from the other week though that held and had some confirmed H12 breakers that have held. So tomorrow I will share that list. I'll pair through it and see which is still active and share that list. Once again, I want to give a big thanks to my friends over at BingX, bingx.com. Use code Rapture for sign-up bonuses. Get yourself those deposit bonuses. Free money, lads. Free money. Ooh, when I left the session will be live. Ticker, banner, this whole, what a fucking tool. Well, let's get rid of that. Anyways, lads. Once again, I am Rapture. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoy what I'm doing here. It helps me to grow the show, helps to get more reach, to help more people on their trading journey to reach and achieve consistency and profitability. And on that, Rapture out. Peace out, lads.